It's Friday, and that means it's time for the next in our series, Fanzine Friday. Today we're taking a look at Spellbound, number 2, from the summer of 1977. Please stick around. I'm AZ Mountaineer, and this is our channel, Old School Rules, where we celebrate the community of old school gamers and grognards who like classic RPGs, miniatures, magazines, and everything that goes with it. Each week on Fanzine Friday, I pull a fanzine off the shelf for a closer look, and today that's Spellbound number 2, Scott Johnson and Andy Mueller, from the summer of 1977. We hope you enjoy the video. So today we're taking a look at a new fanzine called Spellbound. I have issues number 2 and 3, so we'll take a look at those. I don't have issue number 1. We took a look at the Underworld Oracle and the Dungeoneer previously, and you may recall when we talked about the Dungeoneer number 5 that Janelle Jaquays mentioned Spellbound as a new fanzine that was out there. This is produced by Scott Johnson and Andy Mueller from Stony Brook, New York in the summer of 1977. It's heavy stock paper cover and then regular paper folded in half, a couple of staples inside. So here's the cover. Cliff Bird does the drawing. It's classic motif, right? You've got the barbarian Conan-like guy, the scantily clad woman behind him, and he's engaging the monster. In this case, it looks like it's a dinosaur to me, but just really classic black and white art. Here's the editor note. Remember, this is only issue number 2. He's already talking about the need to have a price increase, and if you already turned in your subscription, he's basically saying, you know, you'll get credit for the money that we received. Here's the table of contents, and you have the editor's note. Then they talk about this thing called Loera. Loera. Keith Abbott has created this world, and it's a really interesting concept here in 1977, where you contact him by mail. He'll give you background information about the world, and then he'll give you a part of that world where you can set your campaign. And then you report back to him about important things that have happened within your part of the world. I assume he's sharing that with all the other DMs, and then you are collectively creating the evolution of this world over time. I think it's a really interesting idea. And then Keith Abbott has about 2 or 3 pages in here where he gives you the background on that campaign world. Seems like a little bit of a blend of some sci-fi and fantasy. So you've got this really advanced race. These are like the size of storm giants that have created this world. Half of them are very lawful, the other half are chaotic. As you might imagine, there's some conflicts over time. They end up in this big fight. There's only 4 lawful ones left, and there's 5 chaotics, but only 4 there. The 5th one is cast somewhere out in the universe and can't find his way back. They throw that out there as a thread that if he ever did come back, then the chaotics have the balance of power. Their home planet has exploded and irradiated this world, so it's also not safe for them to interact with it very much anymore. And so each of them lives on a moon that circles the planet. So anyway, so that's the background. I thought the concept itself was really interesting. A new subclass called Loan Sharks. No idea why anyone would want to play a loan shark as their character. Seems more of an NPC to me. Don't know why it needs to be a separate character class, but nonetheless, there it is. Then I think Brendan Dwyer has provided a very interesting article on ship cargo. If you've ever run a campaign that's on a coast and you've got ships, what the heck is in those things, right? He's got a great little table. You can roll the type of cargo, how many soldiers are with the ship for protection or to control the unruliness of the men. Whether or not there would be maybe a military ship accompanying and protecting the cargo ship. And then, of course, rolls for the treasure that might be on there. So really good actually, very useful idea that I think a lot of us would have use for in our campaigns. A new character class by Andy and Scott called the Samurai. We'll talk about that in more depth. And then a Wizard Light, which is Scott's article on new spells for the campaign. They talk about, in the introduction, about paying for good quality art, and you certainly saw that on the cover with Cliff, and then this guy Michael Littlejohn has a couple, and I'll show you those in just a minute. So here are the new spells, let me tell you about them. Remember, this is OD&D, so you got the 3 original books, and Greyhawk has come out, and that's it. So a real desire among creative players to have new spells. Miss Feather causes the feathers to fall off of arrows shot at you so that they'll miss. Dull, on the second level spell, will cause swords or other weapons to become dull so they can't damage you either. Protection is a way to protect the party, and as your levels go up, you can do more things like lock the doors or wizard lock the doors and have an area of protective effect. Smoke ring seems like a cantrip. It allows you to blow rings out of your pipe. I don't know why you need a spell for that. Third Finger Death, cool spell. These little shadow monsters appear from your hand, surround an opponent, then they'll explode the next round and cause damage. Disarm, you get a saving throw, and if you fail, it'll pull the weapon out of your opponent's hand. Breeze, Wind, Gale, increasingly strong wind to either like just blow out candles or the sails of a ship, or maybe move a gaseous cloud away from you, that kind of thing. Phantasmal God is a really clever spell that causes a god or a high-level character that the opponent would be afraid of to appear and hopefully scare them away. Cross of Fire causes a flaming cross to appear and will drive off undead. If it were me, I'd probably give some level of cleric to it and cause like a roll to turn away as opposed to making it automatic. Weakness is you can lower the strength of an opponent, I think D6 if they fail a saving throw. Teleport control. I think it was very common in early dungeons to have these little teleport portals in dungeons that would move you around, probably randomly. This allows your magic user to gain control over where you're being teleported, to know where you're being teleported, and to be able to choose where you're being teleported. Preserve you would cast on someone before resurrection to increase the chance they survive. The Force of Magnor will cause all missile weapons at the party to be turned back and hit the person who threw them or shot the bow or whatever. And then Fire Cyclone is basically like a pillar of fire. It's an area of effect burning spell. The rest of these aren't until issue number 3, which I have, and we'll cover that next, and we'll get to read those. I'm not really sure. No 6th level spells I noticed, and I'm not really sure what the deal is with 10th level spells. Maybe I need to take a closer look at early rules to understand where 10th level spells came from. Here's a piece of that great art by Michael Littlejohn, right? Look at that. A great illustration of a skeletal soldier. Here's the samurai. Remember, OD&D have fighting men, clerics, and magic users. We don't have thieves yet until I think the Blackmore supplement number 2 comes out, as well as monks. So the subclass of the fighting man, common thing back then, right? You want to have more character classes and things that you've seen in movies or read about serve as good inspiration for that. So he's got really nice armor, only one piece of armor. He has to constantly maintain it. It's light like chainmail, but with this special armor and a shield and a helmet, he's armor class 1, so really good armor. 3 weapons he carries: the katana, which is his long sword, the wakizashi, which is a short sword, but apparently not really used much for combat, just for if you have to kill yourself, and the tanto, which they say is used to decapitate your dead opponents. They train really hard. You have to train every day, meditate, and again, take good care of their armor. They get some bonuses, better chances of to hit. They have the ability to have called shots, and there's a table in there. You roll a chance to have a called shot, and then you do a lot more damage if you do that. They also say his long sword hits as a two-handed sword. So back in OD&D, basically a lot of things just did D6. Two-handed swords might do 2D6, if I recall correctly. But then maybe, according to the rules, you don't get to attack every other round. So here you get the extra damage with your sword, but it's a one-handed weapon. You can attack every round with it. And of course, they have a code they have to adhere to. If they're dishonored, they have to attempt to kill the person who's dishonored them. If they refuse or fail, they might commit suicide. They might decide not to be a samurai anymore. In particular, if they're supposed to commit suicide and they refuse, they'll drop down to a first level character and have to start all over again. So good character class, I think pretty well done, and always fun to read these different ideas. And here's another piece of art. Again, Michael Littlejohn. This is the rear cover, and just a really nice fantasy exploration. I like the face of that guy, very realistic human face on this. I think it's a chimera. I'm assuming that's what it's supposed to be. So that's it for Spellbound number 2. Great design. It comes in at 20 pages, including the covers counted as pages. And Just another piece of great vintage history from our hobby from 1977. Until next time, my friends, keep rolling 20s.